Well, good afternoon, everyone. We so appreciate you being here. Sorry to get a little bit of a late start, but we'll try to keep everyone on time. My name is Lisa Schaffner. I'm the PR and Marketing Director here at UNOS. And today's speaker series is a joint program that we have today between UNOS as part of National Donate Life Month. Internally, we help to put the awareness out for April, National Donate Life Month, and with our staff and employees here at UNOS to talk about organ donation and transplantation. With that, the Biotech Park has the scientific luncheon series each month, and so during the month of April we think, hey, let's join forces and have a spectacular program. You're here today for that as we have a conversation with Lindsey Ess. But if you would, please welcome Bob Skunda with the Biotech Park to say a few words.
Thanks, Lisa, and welcome to everyone. It's always gratifying to see folks turn out for our monthly scientific luncheon series because it's a way to bring our biotech community together and companies from our incubator, companies from the state labs, organizations like UNOS, Health Diagnostic Laboratories, et cetera. So this month, though, is a particularly exciting topic and opportunity for us, and I know everyone is really looking forward to our speaker because I think this really is just an exceptional opportunity to hear about some advancements that are happening to people and organizations right here in our community and the implications for going forward. I will say that we will still have scientific luncheon programs coming up next month. We don't have a date yet. We're still trying to settle on the date. But we will be having Dr. Gerd Kobal from Altria, who is going to be talking about sensory research that is going on at the Altria Center for Research and Technology. So I think, again, another very, very interesting topic. So again, thank you, Lisa. Thank you all. Welcome, and looking forward to today's talk.
Yay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And just to add a few other housekeeping items, for those of you, as you leave out through the gallery at UNOS, through the lobby, we have a lot of information about National Donate Life Month, brochures, posters, table tent cards. Take them with you. The idea about April is to spread the word about UNOS, about organ donation and transplantation, and it takes a lot of us working together. In doing that, we can save a lot of lives here in Central Virginia, across the state and across the country, so we appreciate that. For those of you outside of our UNOS family, very quickly, UNOS, United Network for Organ Sharing, we're based right here in downtown Richmond. We are the unicorn. We are unique. There's nothing else like us in the entire country. This building is our headquarters. We have no satellite offices. This is it. We run the nation's transplant system. What we do is we match organs from deceased donors to those on the national waiting list. And we make that match process happen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. Today, from the time that you get up this morning till the time that you go to bed tonight, 78 life-saving transplants are going to take place. And that matching process, those lives are going to be saved by the work that's being done here in the Biotech Park and by those here in this room today. So we thank you. Lindsey Ess is a part of this because we've got a brand new cutting-edge technology. It's called vascularized composite allograft. That's the fancy name for it. What the layman's terms mean, hand and face transplants. And right now, there are movements afoot, and it should happen very soon within the next few weeks to a month, that VCAs, face and hand transplants, will be deemed organs. And what that would mean for UNOS, for this building and for the Biotech Park, is that UNOS would become involved in making those matches happen for hand and face transplants. And how fortunate we are here in Richmond. Only a few less than a dozen have taken place here in this country, and we have one of them. Lindsey Ess is right here. And a testament to what she is about to explain and talk to us today with all of you here today. Please welcome, everyone, Lindsey Ess. I'm the loud one here today. Lindsey's very quiet and reserved. So what we decided, this is just very conversational, and we'd like to just talk about the transplant, what led up to it, and then if we have time, I'd love to get some questions. So think in your mind if there's that question we don't hit on that you'd like to know. It's called Oprah Live, taking place right here today. So we're going to make it happen. So Lindsey talked, and first off, and I bet you're not alone, and I'm thinking the same thing, and I just ask it. This young woman just turned 30 a few weeks ago. March the 29th was her 30th birthday. So looking good. And somebody who's had a double hand transplant. Here you are, sleeveless, and just, here you are today. Just, I'm amazed. How did you get to this point?
Well, in 2007, I did have a bowel, I have Crohn's disease, and I had to have a bowel resection. They took part out of my ileum, which is connected to your small and large intestine. And unfortunately, I developed septic shock and lost my hands and my feet. So if you do notice, I still walk in prosthetics. I have my below the knee amputee, bilateral below the knee amputee. Whereas when I first came out of hospital in the ICU, which I was in for 5 months, I was a quadruple amputee. Quadruple is you're born. Quadruple amputee, it happens while you were born that way.
Did they tell you, did you understand what was happening, that you were going to at some point not have both of your arms and your legs?
I'd say I was in ICU for so long. 5 months is when you're in ICU.
It's a long time.
And I had great support system as far as the staff and as far as, of course, my mother and my family, my friends. And so the looks on their faces were different. So I noticed, I was so medicated that I didn't really know what was going on. It's kind of like a haze and a dream. I do have flashbacks now and have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. But, so now I remember a lot more, but no, I didn't really know. And in fact, I was, laying I was in an induced coma for about a month because of sepsis pain. And while I, was awakened from the induced coma, they had to cut, I don't have scars now visibly that I can show you, but I have a tracheostomy, and I covered, but I don't usually cover it, it just happened to be a matching outfit, but it's just, and I did graduate with a fashion degree, so that's why.
Always gonna look good. That's right. Fashion is everything.
And so, I did look down several times and see that my hands and my feet were, it's kind of looked like necrosis, like they were dying and black. And there was one time where I did say to one of the staff at the ICU, I'm just waiting for them to fix my hands. And she said to me, "Oh dear, you know what they're going to do to your hands," which is obviously out of what should have been said to me. But it wasn't until after I was told, which to this day is still, if it happens to me this day, I still get a little anxious when there's like a crowd of people, like if I'm in a hospital bed and there's like a crowd of people around me, because it was all of the doctors who helped to save my life, because I was DIC, I was supposed to just not live. I had complete organ failure, died 3 times. I wasn't supposed to celebrate my 30th birthday, which was why it was such a big deal. And so still one of my favorite doctors to this day just bluntly said to me, "Lindsey, we're, gonna have to amputate your hands and your feet." And at this time, I just wanted to get out of the hospital. I was very active. I'm still getting back into being active. And I just said, "Okay, do it, whatever you have to do." So it was just sort of a passive, whatever you gotta do to get me out of here. But to some people, it's really, shocking that would be so easy for me to say. But on the other hand, didn't click with me. And it finally clicked with me when I came home from the hospital and I saw all of the pictures of me and my friends, my family, because I was a very social person in VCU too. I just graduated 4 months prior, and so I finally got it when I saw that my life was just never going to be the same. So that wasn't until I would say February or March of '08.
And the operation happened in 2007, in
Correct.
terms of,
around
The complications
October.
from that original surgery.
Right, and they did all 4 at the same time.
So you get home and you're looking at the pictures and you're saying, wow, my life has changed.
Yeah.
Then what's running through your mind? Do you start thinking, because you've got prosthetics for your legs and you had also for your arms.
Yes,
Hands.
it's kind of funny. Right after they amputated my hands and my feet, my prosthetist, who I dearly love because he puts up with me, and like I said, I'm in fashion and I still have to be, I'm a lady and have to have everything perfect. So he would come at 7 in the morning, wake me up every day with these things that I don't know if everybody can see the scars, but this is about where my arms were taken, and he put like cuffs on my arms with a heavy, it's not heavy to me now, but of course it was then because I had lost all of my muscle. And I was probably a good 10, 15 pounds of muscle. I used to compete in body, just the gym bodybuilding. But so he wanted me to lift, like it was a long screw, and it was just impossible for me to lift. And I just thought that's hilarious to me to this day, because to think that I could actually lift that is funny. But he made it homemade, and and that's one thing that I do have to say, that every person that has been involved in my care has been very dedicated and affected by what has happened to me, and is also affected by my struggles and my triumphs in this. But that was probably the worst moment in my life, was looking at the dresser and just crying for days and days. But then you overcome. You gotta you live and you gotta just get over your hump. I mean, everybody has disabilities. Mine are just obvious you can see them.
So how did you get over the hump? How did you get to that point where, okay, I'm wearing prosthetics right now, I want more than just this. I want to be able to have the use of hands. How did you get to the point of having the hand transplant?
It's kind of, my faith really increased while I was in the ICU. And so when I was medicated and when I had dreams when I came home, I always had my hands, but I never had my feet. Like I always had prosthetic legs. So I kind of always, it was presented to me very early that there's these programs around the country.
Who presented that to you?
It's Dr. Desai of, I don't know where he... Is it with Dr.
Ortho, Virginia.
Ortho, Virginia.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
That's Mom, by the way. You'll get to meet her in a minute. Mom's up here, too.
She's very important. Very, very important. But he presented it to my mom, and I was just gotten out of the hospital, and I was like, there's no way I'm going back into the hospital. I was also asked, I was engaged, and I was supposed to be married, the man, and I have to say a lot of men, no offense to men in the room, are not mentally as strong enough to deal with situations. We go through childbirth, birth, and I go through other things too, whatever.
It was
Obviously, it was a tough situation. So after I learned that I was not going to have a life with that person, and that I was on my own with my mother, I said the next day, I called Dr. Desai. I got the number to Dr. Scott Levin. At the time, he was at Duke University, and University of Pennsylvania. He moved back up there because if anybody knows, hand therapy is very well known in Philadelphia, and so he was starting a transplant program, and I went through a ridiculous amount of testing, every square inch of my body, mental, my mom.
I'm going to back you up. So you called Dr. Levin, who, by the way, has been here to UNOS during United for UNOS, our big soiree that we have in October. Lindsey, who's a friend, and we invited her to come over and told Dr. Levin that was her first outing last October. First social outing was here in this building, in this room. and he flew in just for the occasion to be her date for the night. So, yeah, he's a wonderful person. So how did that conversation happen when you said, Dr. Levin, this is Lindsey Ess from Richmond, Virginia. I'm going to come see you soon, and you're going to give me new hands. I mean, how did that conversation work?
Actually, I went to see him at Duke, and my main question was about having children. And since I, at that time, was still with my ex, then he recommended that I had children first. And so then that's what prompted me a year later, well, there's not a man in sight, so I'm going to get my hands. How it went.
Fair enough. I think that's
He knew, I think he knew from just meeting me the first time. Because of seeing me walking, and I started walking in 2008. Like, it was the same year I was out of the outpatient rehab that I started walking. I was going to get my life back there. I mean, I was, wasn't going to let what others say or do to define who I was. So,
and there was
the conversation was excitement, because we both knew.
And in addition to that, I know that, and Dr. Levin has expressed this to me in conversations I've had with him, she, Lindsey, is a very motivated, very determined person, and I think you can feel that, and he knew that as well. But in addition to that motivation that he felt and saw firsthand, there were a lot of questions and counseling and testing that came about. Kind of give us just a little taste of what some of that was about. It was very extensive.
Yes, I'm not sure if it's the same for organs that are considered now, but it's extreme psychological testing, testing the Crohn's in my intestinal tract to see if it was okay to go further. That was their main concern, was the Crohn's. Eyes, ears, like bending of my elbows, strength. I think they even put a psychiatrist or psychologist to test me. Like, he was very abrupt and like asking me. I have had a prior eating disorder before, and he was very just in your face. Like, of course, I didn't like him very much. And I like a lot of people. I don't dislike very many people, but he just seemed to want me to like question, what my decision was. And there wasn't 1 second that I questioned my decision. And so there, and then they test your liver and your kidneys, and there's just every organ in your heart, because I did have a complete organ failure. So they wanted to make sure that I had regenerated, and I had. So
was there any?
It was about a year and a half.
Was there any point leading up to all of these tough doctors and people asking questions, you're thinking, you know what, maybe I'm not cut out for this operation. Maybe the double hand transplant's not for me.
Nope.
Never. So the operation happens. It's September 2011. Happens. Dr. Scott Levin was on the team. It was a huge team of surgeons with various responsibilities. Do you remember? Go ahead.
I was put on the list starting September 1st. And I was expecting it to be like a regular organ. It takes a while. But the 22nd he called and he says, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "Well, I'm on my way to my therapist." And he said, "I think we have a match for you." And my mom and I looked at each other and we were just like shocked, because it's one of those things that you dream about, you think about for so many years, but you just don't, like, I guess it's I would be compared to like a wedding day for a woman, and maybe for a man too. I don't know. It was just like, wow, like, thank you, Lord, this is going to happen. So we prayed then, and unfortunately, there was a very nice gentleman whom I still don't know to this day that chartered a private plane for my mother and I to be up there in time to receive the hands. Through Kanger Prosthetics, who is my prosthetic company, and they've been very good to me. And so I get on the plane, we get there, and they have to do IVs in my neck because of I had Dr. Kenneth Brown he's a vascular surgeon, really awesome guy. He had to do a complete cut of all of my veins to try to draw out all the sepsis. So there wasn't any way that I could get an IV anywhere else for my neck. So we did that, waited around, and then they said, okay, your surgery is going to be at 6 a.m. in the morning. So, I was thinking it was going to be like 2 hours from then. So it was a very anxious time. I think it was anxiety, not in the fact that it wasn't going to work because of how determined I was, but there are a lot of things that are out of
Your control.
my control, and that's a big issue with me because I like to be in control.
What did you do during that time as you were waiting? Did you?
A lot of thinking, a lot of mental, talking to God, talking with my mom, praying, just texting everybody. I didn't do a mass text because I don't like those, but personal friends, family, talk to everybody, got blessings, and they said, "You're okay, we're ready." I think my mom stayed in the cot next to my bed that night, or if we slept at all, I don't remember. And they pumped me with medication. Is that my hair?
No, I think it's just a microphone. You're fine.
They pump you with anti-rejection medication before steroids, before just blast you with it to accept the transplant at first. And it's the same medication that any other organ transplant would have. Still on steroids to this day, a low dose, 4 milligrams, and I was on 80, so it was I think I gained like 50 pounds or something crazy.
So you come out of the surgery. What do you remember as the first thought? What was your first recollection?
I didn't want to see my hands at first. I didn't.
Why?
I think it was like, I didn't.
Were they your hands at that point? Do you, in your
No,
mind?
no.
Yeah.
I think that might have been one of the reasons. I didn't connect. They have to connect every single artery, muscle, bone, like everything. So I couldn't feel them. And I was strong enough to lift them, although I was told not to. But sometimes I break the rules just to see if I can do it.
She does.
And I think the first time I looked at them, I looked down and there was, on my right thumb, there was purple nail polish. And that kind of hit me kind of hard because it obviously wasn't purple nail polish that I had put on. So they were still the donor hands. By the way, the donor, the only information I know is her height was 5'7", my height, and she's younger than I was. And I think she was of a different ethnicity because my hands they have dark hair, and when I first received them, they were very dark in color. So either she was very tan, or she was of a different, maybe like Italian or something. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying that when I looked down, they didn't look like my hands. And so I immediately told the fellow that was there behind Dr. Levin of the purple nail polish, and he rushed out real quick and took it off because I think that he realized that it was something that affected me. And
when you looked down and the coloring was different, they didn't
Scared
feel
me.
like it scared you. So when that happened, did you have, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done this? Was there ever a point that what have I done?
I don't think recently.
What do you mean by that?
Because it's been a year and a half, it was
Year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half, and it's hand therapy every single, like hours of hand therapy, 3 times a week. And, you know, I did want to get back into my social life, and I just wanted to not have people stare at me. And they still stared, so it kind of affected me in that way. And I still haven't been able to just brush that off after 5 or 6 years. And because of the medication, it's, I don't know if anybody in the room is on medication like this, but you're pretty agitated, and it's just overwhelming. It became overwhelming this year, just because it was.
You're into it by 18 months at this point.
Right, and I'm thinking, and I am ahead of any other person who has had a double hand transplant, because I work so hard and I'm very diligent, and I do take the medicine. Like, I will not fail at this. And in that sense, I am farther along as far as the growth of the nerves and the movement of my hands and the functionality. And I know this because I have met other transplant patients.
Really?
And that they have, some of them have different protocols throughout the country, which is, you know, some stem cell or bone marrow transplantation, and not the 3 medications to accept the hands. And some of them have rejection episodes, which I've only had one, and that was in the very, very beginning. And I still don't think that was a rejection episode. I think that was just something I ate. It was a Crohn's issue. But I mean, I'm sure they would probably not agree with me. But yeah.
Talk about the sensation in your hands that you feel compared to right after the surgery to what it is like now. Is a major difference?
I think that the moment that I realized that this was going to work, this was going to go in my favor, was 3 months after I received the hands. They have a transplant house at University of Pennsylvania for any transplant patient and their families to stay in. Of course, it still costs to stay there, but it's very minimal. And it's a really great place because it's like like my mom was able to connect with like other caregivers, and you know, to me, connecting with other patients and amputees, it doesn't, I don't know, for some reason for me it doesn't really work. I don't get anything out of it, but it's different for different people. But 3 months into it, I was like yawning in my bed, and I looked up, and like this finger, like my pointer finger on my right hand, just a little move like that, and I said, "Mom, my finger moved," and it was a big deal. I mean, they didn't expect it to move even that 3 months, which meant that I'm not sure what the name of the muscle is, but it is an extrinsic muscle, and it runs all the way up to here, was flaring from up here and allowing my pointer finger, which also allows your thumb, to move. So from there, we stepped up in the hand therapy. And so now I can feel, I mean, they hurt every day. It's a neurological pain.
When you say hurt, what does this mean? Throbbing? Is it a...
It's like, the way I describe it is, if anybody's been electrocuted by plugging something in,
It's a shock.
it's like a shock, but it's like all the time. Like, or another way to explain it is if your legs ever fallen asleep, or your hand or your arm, and it like kind of hurts, like tingly, kind of like needle, like that, but it's like all the time.
It's all the time.
It's pretty much all the time. It's slowed down a lot. But that's a good thing, they tell me.
And why would that be?
It's hard to hear, but yes, it's a good thing because that means the nerve growth is there, and that's when your nerves are growing. At the end of the nerve is what's flaring and doing that. So right now it's just at my tip of my fingers and inside my palms are still a little sensitive. Like when others touch it, I'm like a little taken back, but then it's so often that I just deal with it. But like some fabrics, so I've been told that I have to constantly touch like even rough surfaces so my hands will get used to, I mean, it's like baby skin. And so they have to just get used to the
Different textures.
right. And it's hard, it's kind of painful. So a lot of times in therapy, I'll have my hands in like kidney beans that are not cooked, just, or white rice, and that kind of helps with the sensation. I still can't like feel like if, as a fashion major, I'm used to, or graduate, I'm used to feeling fabrics and knowing exactly like what they are by feeling them. Now I can just look at them and just generally guess, but I still can't like feel a fabric that's like soft. But if it's rough, I can feel that it's rough. So like if it's a real or a fake flower, I don't want to offend anybody, but I wouldn't be able to tell. I just can't. So what I do is put it up to my face, and so that's how I can tell. Or sometimes like down here, and you can also see that I bruise I bruise easily anyways. But I'm physical. I have a personal trainer now, and he was testing the strength in my hands, and I'm the kind of person that will like, even if it hurts, I'm this strong and cause bruise.
So I see you doing this. Are you okay showing the scars? Is that one of those?
I'm okay.
I'm proud of this now, or is it still a little bit? Oh, I have a hard time talking about it.
Well, he had Dr. Levin and the plastic surgeon has debulked the top of my arms.
What does that mean? Debulked.
Like, if you notice underneath here, there's a lot of like extra skin. They leave extra skin so that they can do biopsies to make sure that there isn't any sign of rejection. And so he's already taken like, he can't do 360 because it's just too much skin at one time. So he's already taken that it was extra up here as well. So he's already gone through that. And oddly enough, it was more painful than anything that I had ever been through.
Really?
It's also because I don't like to take a lot of pain medicine. I kind of fight it, and it was pretty painful.
And you did that recently?
Well, September of last year.
Yeah.
So I still have to sign up for the next surgery, which hopefully I will only have one more.
Like a debulking?
Yeah, all of this. So I don't like to I don't like underneath here, but I did come here, and everybody needs to be able to see stuff like this. But yes, in public, and when I'm shopping, I do like to
Just cover it up a little
cover
bit.
it up because it is something that I don't really. But my scars, I say, are like my tattoos. Richmond's full of the tattoos. So, I always wanted one tattoo, like on I'm not allowed to now, but if I ever find out any more information about the donor, that would be what tattoo that I would get, would be birth date, something like that. I guess I'm not ashamed of my tattoos, of my scars at all. I'm very proud of them. And I do like to say they're like my tattoos because they're my life. That's what happened. They're my life.
Yeah.
And they're all over my body. And I was such a careful child. I never had a stitch. I think I had a little butterfly stitch in my eye. And then, well, I had a, yeah.
Leave it at that.
Little elective.
So tell me, and I noticed a couple times today, people would come up to shake your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Is that comfortable for you now, to shake hands with people?
It's become more comfortable because I can't, this hand can straighten out, if you guys know this. But I have to wear this splint and brace because my hand therapist does not want me to, they call it ape hand, which is, I can kind of fake it, but this hand won't ever do that. But it's kind of like, like an ape would be, like, but I've gained more muscle in this hand, intrinsic muscles, there's 36 in each hand, and I've gained so much in this hand I don't have to wear a brace. But the fear was in this hand that I will, or, you know, because they get very stiff. That's an issue, is the stiffness of the joints. And so,
And you said you've got therapy 3 times a week.
three times.
And how long is a therapy session? Several
Well,
hours?
2 hours, about 2 hours straight. I think I probably should go more, just to push myself more. But I'm also doing, like, I can swim in the pool by myself now. That's another therapy that I do. I go to a personal trainer now. Now I have to go to physical therapy for my shoulder because there's falling issues is what I had. And on New Year's Eve, unfortunately, I did fall back down 4 stairs. I don't drink. So
That was
I have
yeah.
to preface it. It was just a moment of unbalance.
Lost your balance.
And then I had to get stitches under my elbow, and it was just like kind of bright now. And so I overcompensated with my right hand, and so now I've had a tear. My rotator cuff is like never ending. So it's like one thing after another, but eventually it will even out.
So talk to us about some of the things that you can now do because of the hands, like everyday tasks. You can pick up a glass of water?
Depends how big
Big it
the,
is.
like I can't pick the Coke up. This is why my mom always carries straws, which I was at the squirrels game the other night and had not one straw for the whole place, which whatever. I still drink Coke though. Coke over Pepsi any day.
What about brushing your teeth? Can you grab a toothbrush?
Yeah, I brush my teeth, I brush my hair, I can do my makeup. I mean, all of which I could do before with the prosthetic hands, which were just the hooks, be able to do tiny things.
But this is better.
Yes, it's getting there. It's getting there. So I can feed myself, but I can't eat like a burger or anything like that because it just squishes. My grip is really tight. So I have sandwiches and burgers. My mom still helps me eat.
And we need to say something. Judy, can you stand up? Judith Aronson, please stand up. This is Mom. And Mom and Lindsey, and you hear her talk often about mother. She could not do this without her mom. All of the things that have happened over the last several years, Mom has to be there. So we're so appreciative of you being there for your daughter and sharing her with us today. It's Mom's a good person, so we thank you. Mother's Day is coming up, so.
She just said it's what mothers do, and I'm very thankful. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not thankful for a sacrifice that my mom has made. So I see new mothers and about to be mothers. I saw a lot of guys in the room, and I think the fear of what she went through with almost losing me, and then to have enough strength to deal with my idiosyncrasies and my anger sometimes, the stages of loss. And she's had to just absorb everything because she's all I have to be a vent to. And so it's, very strong. Our family of women are very strong.
I think we can attest to that today. Yay! As you can tell, I can sit and talk with Lindsey forever. Let's just quickly touch on the future, and if anybody has questions, I'll come back and we can throw them out. What's the future? What's from here on out? What do you want to do? You're 30 now, girl. What's going on? What's going to happen?
I'm actually really proud to be 30 because I know my mom had me when she was 31, so I know her 30s were she always says were her prime time. And so that's my plan, prime time in my 30s. I am currently looking into schools to go into rehabilitational counseling, which is such a stark change from fashion. I have, for the past almost 6 years, done charity fashion shows around the city, and I'm very proud that I was able to do that and raise thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for various charities around the city. Just didn't feel right to me to do anything else. But now I think I've made that mark, and I'm ready to move on and help others who have been in my situation, in particular the military, because I do feel like there's generation before me, generation after me, and continuous psychological effects that they're going to have that I feel like with everything that I've gone through, that I could, once I learn correctly how to counsel in the right way, be able to step back and not get emotional about it. That's my plan. So I have to take the GRE and just kidding.
And you already, and tell everybody, there's a little bit of that support system already that you are taking place in.
Yes.
You've got a Facebook group, and now you've got to tell everybody about this. I think it's great.
Well, yes, there is a Facebook group that's just for hand transplant patients, or
It's a small group of people.
it's become a lot bigger, but it had, which is great. But it's for caregivers, people that are sincerely looking into getting a hand transplant, so that if they have questions on Facebook, it's a closed group, only those people that we check in detail about who they are and their story, to allow them to come in and ask any questions. I'm also a part of an empowerment program through Hanger Prosthetics, where they would call and say, well, so-and-so, which I've done several times, is in the hospital and just lost their leg or their arm. And so they see me previously, and I have 5-inch heel legs too, that they see pictures of me in, and they hopefully become more inspired. Sometimes it's the wrong time.
Well, I'm going to keep a very close eye on the clock. We've got a few minutes. Does anybody have questions or anybody like to ask? Yes, Jill. Can you talk about here? I got the microphone. Go.
Hi, Lindsay. I was at the fashion show. I brought my nieces. They're 11 and 9. They had the best time. They loved it. My one niece was taking notes. She wanted to tell her friend about it, so it was really moving. It was wonderful. Are you going to get another fashion show after?
I just talked to Lisa about that.
We were just talking about that. Go ahead, you've been put on the spotlight. Go.
I will only come back for you.
Did y'all hear that? She will only come back for you guys. And for those of you who did not make it, a fashion affair with Lindsey Ess was on the 28th of March, and it was a huge rousing success, both internally, and we had a lot of folks from the public who came to visit. So great.
Good press too, I thought. So.
Great press. So you heard it here. We're going to do another one. So you're invited. Anybody else? Yay. I'm real good with this microphone thing. So.
I don't have a question. I just had a comment. You mentioned in your talk just now, which was amazing, that you were tired of people staring at you. I think they're staring. If they are staring, they're staring at you because you have an amazing fashion sense and you're very attractive. So next time, just say thank you.
It's hard to see that.
Well, you should.
Especially when it's young children. Because you want to teach their parent. The parent should tell them not to stare. But thank you for that.
I said what I told her when she came in today. I said, my gosh, I love the look today. She's got the mod look happening today. We all love it. Anybody else? Any other questions? Now's your chance. All right. Well, let's give her a round of applause. Lindsey Ess. And this is one for everybody who's here. student areas. You will see them frequently in our building. They are dear friends of our UNOS family, and we are very thankful to have them here. With that, we have gifts from UNOS. I forgot about this. So Lindsey was so cute. We had gotten so involved. But she was working so hard with the fashion show, and I had some personal things. So she's like, oh my gosh, Lisa, I don't have a UNOS shirt. And I said, we're going to go shopping in the UNOS store today. So we have an entire luggage and everything. So that's just the beginning. We got you decked out in UNOS attire from now until next year. So
Great.
we're
We're going up to Pennsylvania next week for another biopsy, so we'll make sure we wear all of our.
and we're going to get some for Dr. Levin too. He needs to start wearing that as well.
Yeah, we would have
That's
done that.
exactly right. So thank you all
Thank
so
you.
very much. We appreciate it. And